Hey folks, man, this is Monk. We are back with another episode of Classics of Cinematics. And I'm joined as always with my co-host Bobby Blockbuster.
Yo!
Yeah, folks, so today we've got an interesting film. This film is coming from 1973 by the legendary Martin Scorsese. And we're going to be talking about Mean Streets. Mm-hmm. And in this film, it's a slice of street life in Little Italy among lower echelon mafioso, unbalanced punks, and petty criminals. A small-time hood gets in over his head with the vicious loan shark. In an attempt to free himself from the dangers of his debt, he gets help from a friend who is also involved in criminal activities.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting film, man. It's kind of a breakout for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. Breakout for Scorsese. There's too many suds in this bubbles, but the bubbly. Okay, we've also got breakouts from Harvey Keitel. Amy Robinson is also in this. David Proval, Robert De Niro. And we've also got Richard Romanus also stands out. A crazy cameo from David Carradine, at this time. Scorsese also tends to, get his mom in these films too, in some kind of way. But we also got a memorable role that packs a punch from George Mamoli. Yeah, but this is a cool film, man. Cool setup. Also, I want to shout out Caesar DeNova, who plays Giovanni in this film as well. But let's get into the story, man. And as far as this film goes, I think it's interesting because there's so much groundwork being laid for what would become things that Scorsese is known for, and including this mafioso subject matter. And I think this is cool to approach this from kind of a level of street, lower level street guys and wannabes,
Absolutely. Well, I mean, what works for me, this film is all the way, it's edgy and it's unpolished, but it's all grit, you know what I'm saying? And what I like about it most is it doesn't glorify the gangster life. It grounds it. It brings us on surface level, and it shows, what happens on the other side of the coin when they're not clubbing, when they're not, in the glamour and glitz. Then there's not a whole lot of moving parts with it. It's more about how hard you have to try to stay in line, not just to keep yourself and your respect level top tier, but everybody that you're affiliated with.
Yeah. The synopsis is a little weird, but really this is Keitel's character story, and what he's out and about and doing. And it's interesting, Charlie in this film, Charlie Kappa, and he's trying to move up the ranks a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Trying to organize his life a little bit, present himself in a way to where the upper guys, start recognizing him and offering him opportunities. And he actually gets one, his uncle's offering him to take over this restaurant. So his main goal at this point is to try to stay on that level, be respective, keep up appearances, you know what I'm saying? Make sure he's on the up and up, and doing this in a respectful and orderly manner and not get caught up in this foolishness. Whereas
on the flip side of the coin, he's being held back because his best friend and confidant is Johnny Boy, and Johnny Boy is the complete opposite. He's not respected. He owes everybody money. He's the guy no one wants to have around because he's so problematic, and he's not trying to correct his course path. As a matter of fact, he's going the complete opposite direction.
And the boss knows it. He's even noticed it. He's like, yo, why are you still hanging around with this guy? And it's a thing because they're judging him not only on how well he's doing the jobs that they set him out to do, but it's also the company you keep and that kind of stuff. So it's like, if you're hanging around with these guys, kind of degenerates that, guys that we don't think are, pieces of shit, then what does that say about you? And what is that going to say about us if we bring you into, our organization?
Yeah, because
we'll give you a more
slide. Are you going to have this person messing up our name? And then the other conflicting part for Charlie's character is that one of the people that they do have in their inner circle, Johnny Boy, owes money, and he's a low-level wise guy, and he's getting fed up with it. He's getting fed up with the antics. And Johnny Boy's saying, okay, I'm going to pay you next week. I'm going to pay you next week, and keep gassing him up. And he's like, you know what, now I'm going to have to put him in his place. You know what I'm saying? Which that's going to create problems with him and Charlie's relationship.
Yeah, we gave you an inch, and now you're taking a mile. And it's also an interesting thing because Johnny thinks that Charlie can just go talk to his uncle. And this is the type of stuff you don't want to bring to your uncle, bro. I'm trying to get moved up. This is the kind of stuff that, like, why are you bothering me with this? First of all, Second of all, why are you sticking your neck out for this loser?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's how they're going to look at it. You know,
because Charlie, he's not even comfortable with the women he has in his life in fear of being judged by his uncle.
Yeah, yeah. You know it's a lot that goes involved in this thing.
Because it's not just about him. It's about the perception of everyone around him. And the uncle is top tier. He is a made man. So anyone under his lineage has to, carry themselves in the same light that he is. You know what I'm saying? So
my guy's going to represent me, then I need my guys to be the best that they can be.
And that's why I feel this movie is one of the pillars or the cornerstones for this day in the life in New York mobster element that we get in these films, because it lays the groundwork. It shows us, all the effort and energy it takes to live that life and how it's not really all that fun. It's so structured, it's so disciplined, but also so edgy, because at any given moment, somebody's waiting to take you out for disrespect.
Yeah, it's interesting because, The Godfather comes out a year before this. I don't know what's the gap between the productions, or if they were kind of being made at the same time, or if he saw The Godfather and was inspired by this. But it's really wild, because you look at something like The Godfather or Goodfellas, you're looking at like capos, you're looking at the bosses, these kind of interactions. Whereas these guys, they're trying to get to be the made guy.
Yes.
And it's kind of interesting to see their lot, what they have to deal with. And it's really interesting because, you look at something like Henry Hill and, even, what was his name? Nicky and them in Casino. And it's like, we kind of skip ahead a little bit in their careers. Goodfellas touches on a little bit of Henry coming up, but we don't spend a lot of time there. By the time we meet him as an adult, he's already a capo, so to speak, almost.
They're already professionals. This is like the collegiate athlete, still hungry, still trying to make it. You know what I'm saying?
This is G League kind of like,
exactly,
in a way.
Exactly. They're still trying to come back to the States. We tired of playing in China.
But this is like your college career in a way.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And to see if you even get drafted to the league.
And also another thing that separated this from The Godfather is this one is kind of loosely based about Scorsese's upbringing in Little Italy and some of his friends and stuff. So he's got a lot of personal perspective. Not to say that he was directly affiliated to Charlie or to Johnny, but people in his neighborhood. He
probably did know some Charlies and Johnnies. Exactly. He just wasn't in the thing himself,
So it's like, he has that firsthand perspective too, which also just adds to the realism.
Yeah, I feel like we might have all known people that were involved in some things and just coming up, even casually. Maybe this guy was like to come to the basketball court and play 21, but we knew that he was also doing some stuff out there in the world that might have been away from the law,
right? Not viewed in the most positive light,
but it's really interesting, man. I think the story goes from there, especially I like the fact that Charlie, his character is kind of complicated. Him having all these conflicts and, one hand wanting to be loyal to his friends, even his romantic pursuits could be problematic with the position that he's trying to go for. So it's a balancing act to see him trying to juggle these things and be diplomatic, even in the streets, trying to settle, problems that guys have with each other. So it's really cool.
Another thing that
character to look at.
Another thing that really structures his character is his faith. He's conflicted with his faith. You see him at the church. You see him trying to come at peace with his with God and everything, like trying to figure out how can I live this life and not be judged too harshly for it. And so you see him trying to navigate through that as well, while knowing that he's compromising all of that with every step that he takes. So it's like it's trying to be a good dude by doing bad things. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't really add up all the time.
Yeah, but it's cool, man. So there's a bunch of cool characters in this film, and I think that also help make it, an amazing thing. And I guess we could start with Charlie, man. Like we said, we're talking about Charlie and his conflict and him having to run through this stuff. And it's cool seeing a young Harvey Keitel in this, man. Yes. He is also one of my favorite actors, man. He's had a lot of moments, but I also feel like he hasn't had the career of equally talented actors that came out of this area. He has a few pops, but I don't think he gets his just due respect. And I think
find him in more cult favorites.
Yeah, and I think Mean Streets is one of his finest moments. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Him being in this film.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the sharpness of his character. He's so focused, so concise. Like he navigates through the world. He's calculated. You know what I mean? And he portrays that so well in screen. Like he's not effing up, the people around him are effing up, which makes him look like an F up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. But it's almost like he's almost too caring in a way about, and
too balanced.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And this sucks because sometimes it's a lesson you got to learn. It's
harsh.
It's
harsh. It's harsh. The weed out process.
Living in this life that is inspiring to get involved in.
Because in this life, they're held to a higher standard. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, in a world that we don't want to be judged by anyone but God, you're judged for every step that you take.
Yeah, and I think he's really good at this, man, because even at this young age, having the wherewithal to approach Johnny's guy and like, look, man, he owes you, whatever, why don't we cut it down to this, you know what I'm saying? And he's a guy, like having that diplomacy, and you can see how these skills would translate probably later down the road if he gets higher into this, this thing of ours and has to, do these negotiations on a more bigger and serious level.
Absolutely. To all that smoothness and subtlety that Harvey Keitel brings, you get the loose cannon in Johnny, and I like that. Like, they show us his character arc right out the gate. When we first see him, my man's dropping a cherry bomb into a post box. You know what I'm saying? Just to watch it explode. It's like, dog, and you're all the way in your 20s. You're too old to be doing shit like that. But he's the guy that lives life just for the laughs and the thrills. You know what I'm saying?
He's all about the highs, man.
He's unaccountable, and he feels like there's no consequences for his actions. He doesn't care if he hurts people or who he brings down with him. You see what I'm saying? And for De Niro, and this is young De Niro, for him to just show all that energy,
a lot of charisma, man.
Yeah. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. All that charisma on screen. And it's great because, like, there's a part in this where Harvey Keitel is, like, riding through in a taxi cab. There's a couple scenes, and every time Scorsese had De Niro driving the cab just because it was a low-budget film, and then 3 years later, this was also the role that solidified him getting the role as Travis Bickle in Scorsese's Taxi Driver. So, I mean, that energy, it's magnetic, dog.
Yeah, he's cool, man. That's opening scene that we've got, and he's just kind of holding court at the bar. You know what I'm saying? He's the center of attention. He's got the two ladies with him. The gift of gab, and in a way, he's fun, man. But also, this guy is just, I can't take him seriously, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's cool to see that charisma, bro. It's like I shouldn't like this guy. He's fucking up every chance he gets, but there's a quality about him, and I think that's probably what allowed him to get into this debt. Everyone is looking at him in a way like, but Michael eventually got to his breaking point with him, but everyone's going to give him a chance, and they like him being around, and he could be fun, but yeah, dude, but eventually that runs out.
It always does. Patience wears thin. When you keep giving chances, at some point, chances are done. It's like, you know what, now we got to make moves. And that's where Michael comes in, Richard Romanus. I like his character.
Yeah, I like
he is unbendable. He's unbreakable. He stands firm from the minute we see him all the way to the end.
I wouldn't say that, though, because I feel like it wouldn't have got this far. You know what I'm saying? But probably because of, like you said, because
of the chain of command.
Because of his relationship with Charlie, he gave Johnny a chance.
Yes. So you see, because you can see even when he's talking to Charlie, his frustration is at its peak. He's like, "Look, man, I'm gonna break his legs. I'm coming to you out of respect for you. I don't have no respect for this dude no more because he's disrespecting me on this level. I'm trying to keep this thing intact because he's going to get flexed, but we still got business."
You know what I get from this too, though? I think Michael is also on the come up.
He is.
So
I think he's a little higher.
He's the
on
next.
The tier.
He's the next step that Charlie's trying to get to. So he has more responsibilities. He's to the point where he is a collector.
Yes.
And he's breaking legs if he has to and all this stuff. So yeah, I get a higher sense, but also he knows that Charlie's coming up too. So he's kind of, in a way, mentoring him, but also giving him a little bit of leeway and explaining things and like, look, man,
I'm sure in the future they're going to be on runs together.
Yeah.
They're still under the Don Giovanni lineage. And even Giovanni tells him when Charlie has a sit down with him, he's like, look, man, you and Johnny, nah, that's not rocking. Honorable men rock with honorable men.
Yeah. He's laying it down,
he's
man.
Almost trying to gear him towards, like, you need to be around Michael more because Michael he's about that life. He's about that business, and he's doing it the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what Michael really.
Michael's going to show you what's what. So it's kind of interesting, man. The military kind of had this thing where, your rank, you're supposed to know the responsibilities and duties of the guy that's a few ranks above you. You know what I'm saying? So just in case, and a few ranks below you, know what that guy does too. So even if, just say something happens to Michael and you got to go in there, then then Charlie already knows what he should be doing and moving, and, you know, when the opportunity happens, or if something, like I said, happens to Michael, because it's a dangerous game out there.
Absolutely. And I like this because with all this grit and all this rawness, we do get some comedic elements, but I don't think it's not forced funny, and we get a lot of that. We talked about this before. Our favorite guy, George Marinelli.
Mamoli.
Yeah, that's jaw-breaking Joey, because all he does is tee off on people. He'll call you a name, look at you in the face, and then crack that jaw.
But see, this explains too some of the stuff that Charlie's dealing with, because it's Charlie's friend who hit on the numbers, you know, the legal gambling game, and for some reason, Joey doesn't feel like he has to pay him. He doesn't like him for some reason. He's like, no, I'm not going to pay you. But then it isn't until Charlie comes in, he walks back into the thing with Charlie to decide. If then Joey's like, all right, man, you know, you got a guy that I respect in here. All right, we're going to give you your money. But it's funny because even in that exchange, is like, I'm still going to get my shit off, and like, I'm going to give you this money, but you also going to take this punch to the face.
But then what I like about it is, as we see this brawl happen, it's, you know, two crews fighting, and I mean, they messing up this pool hall, right? Yeah. And then the cops come, and then they're all on the same side. They're like, man, we was just playing around. You know,
but it shows me too that things can get serious, but this is kind of light serious. This ain't nothing
ain't
really.
Ain't pulling no knives out, no guns coming out.
This is like, we got a bunch of energy. We all pent up. We young dudes with a lot of testosterone, and we just going to get this energy out real quick. Yeah. And then, I'll buy you around.
Real quick, boom, boom. Take a shot, then I'm going to punch one of y'all on the way out.
Then he punches Johnny in the head, too. Yeah. That was, it was an amazing scene, man. It's amazing.
Yes, it is. Another element to this film is Amy Robinson's character, what's her name? Teresa. Mm-hmm. And this is Charlie's love interest, but what messes this all up for him is, even though this is Johnny's cousin, so he's not going to catch no flack for dating someone who might not be Italian or whatever. She has epilepsy, so she's viewed as damaged goods by
which
his
is
uncle,
crazy, because the uncle brings that up when he's having this meeting about him taking. Enough. Yeah, that's really what it is. And like I said, because she has this reputation as being like this outcast away, the untouchable, that also translates to even the boss is like, you can't be dating no untouchable. You know what I'm saying? Whereas I feel like, man, if I'm a boss, I'm gonna do what I want to do. But but you can't, because she has a reputation. Yes. That reputation is also going to reflect on him, which is also going to reflect on the boss. So it's crazy, shit that Charlie's juggling all this.
What's crazy is it's all about reputation, but he could bring home someone who has maybe a reputation for being promiscuous, and she'll be all right because she's not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because she's not epileptic.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but that's also, wow. It's a testament to Charlie's character at first, because you're like, you see that he's like, look, I'm digging on you. I don't care what they say. We still gonna rock. But then once he gets put in the squeeze, and once he starts realizing that he might not get the restaurant, and that all of this might get exposed, he even tells her, yo, we need to chill until I get the restaurant.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy too.
That's messed up.
Wait till I get into the spot. I don't know. That's the best he could do. It is the best he could do with it. It is the best up, but then you think, all right, what if I get this restaurant job, and then I get my clout up, then maybe I will be able to bring you in. Or maybe even you could bring here as a worker, and we're still messing around on the low.
He's trying to tell her, I ain't giving up on you, but we gotta walk a fine line.
But then it's crazy, because, like I said, the whole thing keeps reflecting the black chick that the go-go dancer, that he likes.
That her name was Diane, and that's Jean Bell, who also was TNT Jackson.
Yeah. I still got to see TNT Jackson. Man. I'm gonna watch that.
You got to.
But that relationship is the same way. Like, he sets up a date with her, picks her up, then he realizes, like, oh, someone might see us together, and that's just as bad as, if not worse, than being seen with the epilepsy girl. Yeah. But it's crazy because this is I don't know. I'm a little bit more forgiving in this film because it makes sense, but Scorsese, you're gonna get those N-words and all that but it makes sense, man. Dealing with these guys and what the reputations are and the times that they're living in. And you cannot be seen with the black. And it's crazy because I love Charlie's character for this because he's dealing with so much. Like, his heart is pulling him one way in different directions, but he still has to uphold the standards of this job that he's aspiring to get.
What's amazing is every time you see him, he seems unshaken, unraveled, unbothered by it all. But it's chaos all
It comes out later though. There's that.
But I mean, for the first 70% of the movie, he's still clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that confrontation he has with Johnny and the cousin. And Teresa. She's there, and he man, the look on his face is like, bro,
I'm about to get your body. You know.
But still, the next scene they're like, all right, pal. You know, they're but like it's so crazy.
It's
man.
wild. But you know, while we're still on cast, real quick, the reason why my eye went to Robert Carradine instead of David Carradine is because Robert Carradine, he plays the boy with the gun, but that's the guy from Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh yeah, you're right. That is was a Skolnick or one of them characters.
The lead one, the main nerd with the glasses. I can't remember his name. That guy.
Yeah, but David Carradine also has a funniest cameo, and he just listed here as the drunk, and there's a wild incident in this, man. I think this scene is cool because this shit has been lighthearted for the most part, yo. And then it actually gives us a spark of how dangerous this world that they're living in. And I don't know what happened. It's not really explained, but another character comes into the bar while he's drunk, stalks him into the bathroom, and dumps like 3 or 4 shots into him.
Does.
And you talk about hard to kill.
What?
I think this.
What? My man ran out of bullets for the dude ran out of life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And then my man's just eating it. I don't know what he was on, eating all these shots and stalking this kid down as he's shooting them. And then this is the wild scene to me because it shows the chaos too. All of a sudden, everybody in the bar is like, "Yo, we got to get out of here."
Yeah.
These dudes end up. I think he ends up out in the street and where he dies up against a car.
Yeah.
But the patrons in there, they're like, "Yo, they lock the thing down."
Yeah.
And everybody runs out the back.
Yep.
It just scatters, man. It's crazy, man. It's a wild movie, man.
You know, it's not. You won't find it on the cast list, but another main character in this film is the setting. This movie brings New York to life. And the craziest thing about it is most of it was not shot in New York. It was shot in California.
What?
Yes.
They had LA. What? That's crazy.
Yes. But that was for most of the indoor scenes. When we got outdoor, there was 7 days that were shot in New York. So what you got from
that makes sense.
Like the Catholic a church and everything. And
because they said, I think, because we're watching this TMC version of it, and they were saying that they got special permission to film during this ceremony in Little
St. Patrick's old cathedral. So it's a ceremony that happens annually in Little Italy, and they got special permission to film some sequences during that. So that helps add flavor, makes it feel more New York. Because when the lights is off, a city look like a city. A city looks like
in
a
most
city.
parts.
That's it.
So, but that's kind of interesting though. That's cool, man.
And it's wild too, because like I was just skimming through all these highlights. It's wild how when this first movie came to production, because Scorsese, he was still lesser known. He just came off of Boxcar Bertha. That was his second feature film. And I can't remember who it was, but they pulled him up because that movie didn't do too well. And they were like, now that you're done making movies for other people, why don't you go ahead and make a movie that, speaks to you? Something that you can
I think
pull
that
from
was
your own inspiration.
Savetti's. I can't remember that. I think that might be the name of the director.
Okay. And then, and it was cool because he got that and then he writes this out and then he reaches out to Roger Corman, and Corman's gonna back him, but he tries to suggest to him that they make this a blaxploitation film because that was what was popping in the 70s. And Scorsese was determined pretty much to make it a film about Italian Americans as well. So and it's wild because when you watch the story arc, I mean, I think it would have been great either or. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, because it's really just that day in the life story, which new films that take place in New York, especially in the 70s, they express that well. They give us that well. And from whether it's Corman, Coppola, Scorsese, these are like the front billers that give us these films.
You're watching this, you feel like this is like wild. Like if he wasn't in this movie, you would think that De Niro's taxi driver is driving around in the background somewhere while this is happening.
That's why it was wild, because when all the taxi cab scenes, De Niro was driving the cab. He was driving Keitel around. So it's wild that, yeah, man. And, another thing that brings these set pieces to life is the cinematography. With this being such a low budget film, they didn't have a lot cooking by way of cameras and stuff. This film got really
It's rough, man. It feels handheld in a lot of scenes,
this is the film that kind of, not it didn't invent, but it brought to full circle the handheld camera scene. Like the most iconic scenes that we get in this are the pool hall fight that was shot on the handheld.
Dude, do you notice that? I noticed that watching when that fight first breaks out, there's like a long unbroken shot of De Niro getting beat up, going around the. I don't know if it's not De Niro, it's the other guy, the guy that wants his money.
Yeah.
And it's a shot, and it stays, and they're hitting every corner, and it's just like, wow, the guys are coming out there, and he's fighting them off, and I'm like, yo, this looks crazy.
Well, another one where the handheld just brought this film to full life was when Harvey Keitel's all drunk. They strapped the handheld to him, and he's like woozy around, so it gives the viewers that sense of feeling drunk as well. So I mean, it really just elevated for them to just work. Let me look at this budget. They came in on a $650,000 budget, grossed $3 million box office. So and the crazy thing is that as we get into the music, half of the budget went to securing the songs for the film, because this was
make sense.
This was the first song to use, pop songs. There was no score; it's just pop songs.
And this is like a Motown, like big hits, like similar music that we see in Goodfellas.
Yes,
exactly. The same kind of drops.
This film has one of the most iconic openings with I want to say it's the Roulettes, "Be My Baby," and they're showing the pictures of Keitel, like almost like it was like looking through a wedding photo album and stuff. And it's really cool the way they did that. You know what I'm saying? But then all these other songs, you got the Rolling Stones. Let me see what else. What other songs? These are all big songs from the 70s. Yeah, the Rolling Stones, "Tell Me." The Rolling Stones, "Jumpin' Jack Flash," the Marvelettes with "Please Mr. Postman," Betty Everett, "It's in His Kiss." I mean, these were prominent songs, and all of these people, all of these singers were going to get residuals off of this song, off this movie, frontlining their songs.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, but it is rough around the edges though. Like you see some things that I feel like are a little choppy, but with the editing and especially too, like at the very end with the crash, I was like, this was kind of weirdly cut. Like it looks a little wonky. Like maybe the sound wasn't, or they didn't, get that going, or maybe he just wanted to just be a moment that just felt like, boom, it just happened. Like a lot of the, because this thing isn't. There's not the music we get for the most part is played for background effect. If they're in a space and they're listening to it, it's not like it doesn't have a traditional score where even I think a lot of films, modern films, things are happening while things are happening. Like the music's playing, your score, which is usually more orchestral, is when things are happening or dialogue is happening. It doesn't have that. Everything is kind of almost documentary style, and like I said,
it's like having the radio playing while you're doing something else.
Any music we got in here, for the most part, is background. If they're in a bar, the jukebox is playing something, or like maybe at the very end we get what would be a score, but it's still a music drop, and it's the song is playing as we see several characters, in the aftermath of what happens on that highway, So
I mean, and for so many reasons, this movie is so iconic. It is so much more than just a cult classic. I mean, this is you can look at this, and
dude, this feels like
the blueprint of a lot of films.
I'm getting Mo Better Blues.
Yes.
When I look at some of this stuff,
Mo Better Blues, even Goodfellas, any mob-based film, or even just those slice of life films.
The stuff Denzel is going through with Spike's character in Mo Better Blues is so reminiscent of what's happening with this film in a way.
That's what I'm saying.
And then there's been that trope in a lot of other films since of, one character who's kind of being held back by being loyal to a friend that's just, and it's just like, damn.
Or also when you think of like how one bad apple can spoil the bunch. Or, I mean, even we just talked about Strapped. Look at that. That's just like this. One dude, you got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You're trying to do good, but you can't be a good person then do bad things at the same time without being morally compromised. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this film, it really does that. But it also, this was the one that brought Scorsese to the front lines. This made him front and center. I think it was almost like this is the one where he found his footing. And then also, not only him, this was the film that secured the relationship between him and De Niro. Because they ended up making 9 other films together. With Taxi Cab coming 3 years later. And then, I mean, the list goes on. You got Goodfellas, you got Cape Fear, you got, what was it? The one about the one stand-up comedian, the King of Comedy. You know what I'm saying? There's so many good movies that came off of stemming from this one being made with these relationships that were formed with this film.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely a classic, man. You know what I'm saying? It's subtle. It doesn't. I think it's a film that lives in a world of understatement for the most part. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to have these crazy wild swings. It has a few popping moments, like I said, like the bar fight and stuff. But for the most part, it plays in a weird tone where it's just like it just stays even, and we're just going to show you things these characters experience. And I think the pop is going to be, the way these relationships work out in these little tiny smaller moments. You know what I'm saying? Versus these big crazy.
I mean, I feel like
scenes that we would get from like Goodfellas and Casino, you know.
This movie is so great because it submerges us in subtlety. We don't need the glamour, the glitz. We don't need the fireworks and the oohs and the ahs. This one just is, it's surface level and it stays there, but that's where all the grit is. You know what I'm saying? That's how you get the dirt under your nails, So in this film, it shows us that for 2 hours straight. And like you said, if you can view it on the TCM channel, there is a little bit of an introduction, outro going on. The dude's just dropping some extra facts, some cool stuff to know about the movie if you're interested. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what's up, man. But yeah, I think that's it, folks, man. I'm going to be out of here. Make sure you check out Mean Streets. If you've never seen it, you're probably in for a treat, man. But we're going to be back soon, man. Make sure you subscribe to the Instagram. We're on there. We're also on the TikTok. Just search up Classics of Cinematics. You can catch me at Monkey Blood on Twitter and Instagram.
And this Bobby Blockbuster. As always, you can catch me on the next show out there in them mean streets.
All right, folks. We out of here. Peace.